Hey everyone, got a video for you today and a bit of a story to go with it. So, if you're like me, you are lucky enough to be alive in the greatest decade ever, the 1980s. And if you remember the 1980s, you probably remember walking around your local mall like I did. And well, let's even go back a little before that. My story began when I was in it had to be sixth grade. I say this because when I was really young, they built an elementary school and a high school right outside of town where I lived growing up. And still around sixth grade, sixth to eighth grade, we were still going to the what they called the old high school in the center of town. And so seventh and eighth grade went there. Sixth grade went to what they called the annex. And judging by the look of it, it was built like around the 60s. But I remember being in this annex, so it had to be around sixth grade. And it was gym class. We were in the gym. And I remember for some reason the entire class was sitting on the floor in front of the bleachers, Indian style. Indian style? Are you still allowed to say that? I don't know. Is it politically correct? We were sitting on the floor with our legs folded. And I don't know where the teacher was, but we were all kind of like talking amongst ourselves and whatnot. Or, well, at least I was there. You know, I was shy even back then, so wasn't part of many conversations. But anyway, one thing I do remember, totally off topic, was I do remember this one kid being there who wasn't supposed to be there. He was he was an upperclassman or something, but he was there for some reason. And I remember him showing off in front of the class, and he did the moonwalk, and it really looked legitimate, like the Michael Jackson moonwalk. And I was really impressed by that. Anyway, back on track. So we're sitting in front of the bleachers, and people are talking. And at one point, some little kid starts making fun of my sneakers. I still see them to this day. I remember them. They were just these pleathery, white, cheap, I'm sure, sneakers that had two like silver chevrons on them, right? Didn't know what that meant, anything. They were just shoes. Back then, to me, shoes were just something to get you from point A to point B, and they did the job. But this kid started picking on me for my shoes. And I got a couple other people involved, and they were picking on me for my shoes. And like they were pointing out how I couldn't afford real Converses. Okay, I didn't know what Converse was. You know what I mean? I didn't care about those. I cared about Star Wars. You know, back then, whatever. You know, Star Wars. So anyway, so they're accusing me for not being able to afford Converses. So yeah, it was at that point in my life where I started paying attention to footwear. Okay, and I started noticing people wearing shoes that said Converse on them, and they had the star and the chevron. So I saw what he was getting at. I had a knockoff pair of these things and stuff. So anyway, my mission in life at that point then became pestering my mom to get me, you know, a legitimate pair of Converse sneakers, which she eventually did. And from that point on, I started wearing Converse sneakers. I was never a big fan of the Chuck Taylors or anything, but regular Converses and stuff like that. And but then 1986 happened. Okay, in the year 1986, Converse released what I think probably to this day is one of the coolest sneakers ever produced, the Converse Weapon.
The bird shoe, the magic shoe. Choose your weapon from Converse.
And that was a magical year too, 1986, because I was going from middle school to a freshman in high school. And, you know, it was all about making, you know, the appearance and, you know, walking into high school like a badass or something. And so it was summer vacation was about over. And I remember my mom saying, we got to get you some shoes. And so we had a local shoe store in the middle of town. It was just a mom and pop thing called Millette's Sporting Goods. And she took me there. I don't know why, but I was instantly drawn to the yellow, purple, and white Weapon. I don't know why, because my colors have always been green and black. Favorite colors are green and black. But for some reason, I was magically drawn to these yellow, purple, and white weapons. Maybe, I don't know, looking back on it, I always kind of bragged and stuff that, or at least I thought I didn't like school and whatnot. But I guess I have some pride for my school, my alma mater, because to this day, their colors are purple and white. So anyway, I was drawn to these yellow, purple, and white sneakers. So I didn't even have to think about it. I'm just like, do you have those in my size? And they did. So I took them home, walked into freshman year wearing these sneakers with everything you got to worry about, you know, new school, new people, pimples, girls, all that thing. At least one thing I didn't have to worry about was the fact that I had a kick-ass pair of shoes on my feet. So I wore those things religiously, you might say. I wore them ninth grade, 10th grade. By the end of 10th grade, they were a little worn out. They were a little beaten, battered, abused. You know, when I say I wore them, I wore them. I mean, from the time I got up to the time I went to bed. I didn't have another pair of shoes I wanted to put on, another pair of shoes I wanted to put on my feet. You know, it was my weapons. They were my slippers. They were my play shoes. They were everything. So going into junior year, they're a little worse for wear. So my mom usually didn't take it upon herself to just get me things because she knew I was a little picky, you know, as a teenager, things and that, but like that. But one day she just, right before the start of junior year, she came home, handed me a silver and blue box. I knew what it was. And she goes, here you go. Here's your shoes. And I open them and it's another brand new pair of yellow, purple, and white Converse Weapons. And for once, there was no argument out of this guy right here. I'm glad to accept them, wore them. Again, they got me through 11th and 12th grade. Got me all through high school, a Converse Weapon. So I have a particular love for that shoe, okay? Now, I think it was maybe late 90s, early 2000s. Unfortunately, Converse started going bankrupt, from what I understand, and they were falling out of favor. They weren't the trend anymore. And they really didn't have many epic styles to choose from. And I'll be honest, that's when I started wearing New Balance. So I became like a New Balance guy and whatnot. And so anyway, I still wear New Balance. But it was around, I think it was, let's see, what was it? It was 2003. Nike. I heard the rumor that Nike bought Converse, which wasn't very happy about because I'm a Converse guy. You know what I mean? And Nike was kind of like the enemy or something, you know? But anyway, so I didn't think much of it. I wasn't really wearing Converse at the time. Anyway, however, I think it was like maybe a year later, 2004-ish, I heard the news that Nike, after purchasing Converse, was going to re-release the Weapon. Okay. So, you know, I had to get me one. So as soon as I heard this, I made the trek to our local mall, walked in there, and it was just like 1986 all over again. I walk in there and there's racks of colors and things to choose from. Didn't have to think about it. I walked in that store, saw the yellow, purple, and white ones, and I said, dude, you got that in my size? When he said yes, I said, give me two. And I did. I walked out of there that day with two pairs of yellow, purple, and white Weapons. And fortunately, I still have them both. One pair upstairs never been opened, but I have the other pair here. And let me bring them up here. So I thought we'd take a look at these today. So here's kind of somewhat like the old school box. This one was a little different. This was the 2004 release. But sticking to the colors. And, of course, FET has the box backwards because it wouldn't be FET if it wasn't backwards. But anyway, let's take a look at these bad boys. So here you go. We have a 2000 release Converse Weapon in all its glory. This one a little dirty. They were worn a few times, but yeah, the old yellow, or I think they call it gold, purple, and white colorway from back in the day. So yeah, there it is. So my understanding now is too that they're producing that their weapon again. Right now, this being 2025, there currently aren't as great a color choice, in my opinion. So I don't have a brand new pair yet, but it's something I look forward to into the future. So, you know, that's it, I guess. You know, looking at the shoe, I break it out occasionally, and it always puts a smile on my face. It takes me right back to the malls in 1986. And I mean, 1986 was such a great year in so many ways. I mean, when you look back and you realize, you didn't realize how great we had it. You know, you had movies like Aliens, Big Trouble in Little China, Top Gun, and Labyrinth. TV shows like Family Ties, Cheers, Growing Pains, and Who's the Boss? And music. Don't get me started on music, especially metal. I consider 1986 to be the year of metal. I mean, geez, you had Megadeth, Peace Sells, But Who's Buying? Metallica, Master of Puppets, Slayer, Rain and Blood, Creator, Pleasure to Kill, Wasp, Inside Electric Circus, Lizzie, Borden, Murderous Metal Roadshow, Queensryche, Raids for Order, Metal Church, The Dark. Oh my God, I could continue. I could go on and on and on all day. But that's a topic for another video, isn't it? Thanks for taking this trip down memory lane with me. Thanks for watching. And if you would be so kind, please do that there YouTube stuff and like, share, subscribe. and maybe leave a comment below. It helps with that their algorithm. It helps push the channel forward. And that's it for today, folks. Thanks for watching. And I hope by now you know what to do. You need to take care of yourselves. You need to take care of each other. And after that, you need to take it sleazy.
Exit light, pursue night, grasp your prey, hold on tight. Dreamless peace is what you